We'll just.
And now we're live.
Now we're live. All right. I'm not sure what happened, everybody, but.
Oh, what a great song.
All right. That was good. All right. Let's just start over. Jesus. Okay. Here we are. Welcome to Crossing the Streams. Kind of a false start. We got a great show for you today. You've come to the right place. Crossing the Streams, where we answer the universal question: what should I be binge watching now? Here we are. We've been watching so much, and now we're done, and we need to watch something else. We got three amazing guests: Larry Roberts, Christine Blackburn, and Zack Wiseman. Larry, remind everyone of your awesomeness and where you came from and all that kind of good stuff.
Man, my awesomeness. Well, I'm Larry Roberts. I'm with Red Hat Media. Go figure, because of the red hat. You know, it's a new brand that we've got going this year. But you can find me all over the place, man. Be Larry Roberts on Instagram is probably the easiest spot to find me. So head over there and follow me on Instagram.
Awesome. And Christine. Wait, you're on mute. I can't. You're on mute. You're muted. All right, I'm gonna go to Zack, and then you unmute. You unmute.
I'm unmuted. Yeah. Hey, my name is Zack. I'm one half of Some Nobodies. We make weird podcasts that are scripted and some improv shows. We do improv shows like PowerPoint Showdown, which is one of those like karaoke style things. Jeff was on that one of those episodes. We also have scripted comedy like Silicon Angels, which is the overheard IT phone call of a sex robot shop. So we got a whole bunch of weird stuff. We do about 20 some different shows. You can find them all by opening up any old Razor phone or grab your mom's slingshot device and just type in Some Nobodies. Anything, literally. If it's connected, it'll get you there.
All right. Christine is on mute. Try unplugging your microphone. We can't hear you.
Christine, you're muted in StreamYard here. You're not muted on the mic, I don't think. It's the actual application.
Is there like a little button there? There should be a button maybe at the bottom of your screen. It says mute. We heard you a minute ago.
So happy to join you boys. I have to tell you, it's been a lot of fun out here in Los Angeles, California. You know, we had some rain yesterday, and it does not happen often here in the Southland. In fact, it hadn't rained since May. So we're all very excited, and I'm even wearing a hat today. So
that's a great hat. And what's on your hat?
Oh, well, hey, look at that. This is brand new swag for my show. My Life in 3 Songs. Yeah, that's the name of the show. What happens is I talk to comedians about the 3 songs in their life that have impacted them. Now, that does not mean it's their favorite song. That's a whole different thing. We're talking about songs that actually impacted them, that paint a picture of a place and a time in their life. So you get to see a part of the comedian, where they're from and what they're made of. Here it is right here. My Life in 3 Songs. The hat matches vaguely. But anyway, it's very exciting. The merch is up. You can go to mylifein3songs.com, or also you can go to Ground Control, storyworthypodcast.com. That's my other podcast that I've been doing for 12 and a half years.
All right. Well, that is actually amazing in itself.
I know, isn't it?
12 and a half years. Tell, just share. Cause I mean, you've interviewed like everyone, like
Storyworthy Podcast. This was my favorite swag. And on the back, storyworthypodcast.com. Yeah, they're lighters. Well, look, I have on comedians. Once again, I enjoy comedians. These people understand brevity. They know how to say it quickly, get their point across. And so, again, I have on comedians on Storyworthy. And they tell me a true 10-minute story, and then we chat about the story. So it's not long-form interview. It's basically we talk about what the comedian brings to the table. So I've done about 700... Listen, like as if I don't know. I've done 764 episodes. And Larry, I have made hundreds of dollars.
That's awesome. That's more than most can say.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you.
That is amazing. I've had Christine on my podcast, and it was, if you go listen to that episode, It's been a while now. It's amazing. I think it's almost been like 100 episodes. Anyway, so but we have there's a whole conversation we have about Disney because she hates it as much as I love it. It's one of my
upsetting.
favorite moments on my podcast. So anywho, all right. So a couple things. So a couple episodes ago, Tony Berardo was on and talked about Blackbird on Apple TV, and I have since watched it, and I couldn't stop watching it. I thought it was like one of
Right?
the best shows I've seen in a long time. Just 6 episodes, it's based on a true story, and it's about a drug dealer that gets put away for like 10 years, and then but they're going to commute his sentence if he can go to this high maximum security prison and get this one guy who's a serial killer to admit he's a serial killer. Otherwise, he's going to have to go free. And it's all based on a true story. And I think most of it is accurate to the story. You know, when you read the matchups, but it was the power of crossing the streams. It was some of the best 6 hours I've watched. Have you guys seen this?
No.
Can you say
No.
the name of it one more time?
Blackbird, like the Beatles song.
Yeah, I think I might have seen it. I think it sounds so familiar, and it really sounds good. If it's what I think it was, I really liked it.
yeah,
This is on Apple TV.
it's on Apple TV.
Yeah,
Yeah,
check it out.
it's with the one actor who's been in a lot of the Spike Lee movies, and he was just in Cobra Kai as the older kid trying to still be in the karate thing. I can't remember his name, but it was amazing. Ray Liotta's last role, I think. Anyway, that was really, really awesome. And if you guys haven't been watching Reboot, you got to jump on that on Hulu. Love that show.
And that's the one with the people who got out of prison because of COVID.
No, Reboot's the one. Reboot is a show about the rebooting an old show.
Oh, that's right.
with
That's
the-
right. The
with the
sitcom,
original
and they're
actors.
doing it
Yeah,
over.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
and,
I haven't started that, but I really want to. Again, I've heard really good things.
So funny. It is so funny. It's totally worth it. That one's worth it. Yeah. It's nice to have a lot of cool shows that you can watch, and they're just great. Reboot's like one of those shows you literally have to watch. It's because it's like that smart and funny. You have to kind of pay attention. You have to really pay attention,
Oh, I like that.
or you'll miss stuff. And Paul Reiser's in that. Rosa Dew, a lot of other classic people. Johnny Knoxville is unbelievable in it, and yeah, so definitely check that out. Larry's looks like he's just hearing about it for the first time, so I'm glad I
I
brought it up.
definitely am, and I had no idea Knoxville was doing anything outside of Jackass. So
I gotta tell you, when I was watching this show, I was like, wow, that guy's really good. And I go, he looks just like Johnny Knoxville. And I Googled to see who it was. And I'm like, oh, it is Johnny Knoxville. My brain wasn't wired to think that this guy was like a really, really good actor.
Wow.
And so it was anyway, really cool. So
Well, it's created by Stephen Levitan, and that's the guy who created or co-created Modern Family. So, I mean, he definitely knows how to write a comedy. He knows how to make it tight, and he knows how to cast it.
absolutely. All right. Anyone else have any side tidbits of anything they've been watching or anything? No, Larry's like, I can't. I'm excited to be on the show. We're going to talk about Ninja 3, the domination.
No.
Oh, did I blow your joke?
My thunder. No,
Oh,
don't
sorry.
take my thunder.
Sorry. All right, we'll just jump ahead. We'll just move into everything else that we're going to do. All right, what do we got? Last week we talked about Santa Clarita Diet, Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, C, which is another Apple TV one I'm going to check out, and On Patrol Live. And then this week, we're talking about Primal, the Goldbergs, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and Ticket to Paradise. You guys ready for this?
Woo!
Woo.
Enthusiasm.
All right. Let's start with, since I try and get the thunder back on. Let's talk about Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Larry's here to take us through the 80s like no one else can.
Well, I got to tell you, it's always fun to come on the show, and I've been prepping for this because you invited me, I think 2 weeks ago, we put it on the calendar, and I started prepping to come back on the show, and I just knew, because for some reason, I've been tapping back into the 80s ninja movies again recently, And I knew I was going to come on here, and as you mentioned a minute ago, talk about Ninja 3: The Domination, which is the best, worst ninja movie ever made. And when I presented that to you, what was it, earlier today, wasn't it? I said, yeah, I'm going to talk about Ninja 3. And you go, hey, bro, you might want to go back and listen to episode of 8/3, August 3rd of this year, when you came on and talked about, well, Ninja 3: The Domination. So it kind of threw me off my game. So I'm like, holy shit, man, what am I going to talk about now? And I just finished up a tour of Texas here, a speaking tour for Podfest, which is a podcasting conference that takes place in January. And I hit San Antonio and Houston and Austin and spoke in all three spots. And while I was in San Antonio, although I'm born and raised in the state of Texas, I'd never been to the Alamo. So the gentleman that was hosting the event there in San Antonio, took us downtown and took me to the Alamo. So with that recent visit to the Alamo, I was inspired to talk about Pee-wee's Big Adventure. And each time I've been here, I've always talked about a movie from the early to mid 80s. And this was another one that had a massive, Christine, massive impact on my life, especially at this time. I was about 13 years old when it came out in July of 1985. And I was kind of a gangly, skinny little kid, little nerd kind of kid. And this movie just resonated with me. And when you dig into Pee-wee's Big Adventure, it's all about Pee-wee Herman and his beloved bicycle. Now, who as a teen growing up...
Comet.
What's that?
The bike's name was Comet.
The bike's name was Comet. And as we were growing up, who didn't have a bike that they loved? But no one loved their bike like Pee-wee loved his bike. And one of the cool things about this movie was the protagonist was Francis, his arch nemesis, and he wanted Pee-wee's bike this whole time. And interestingly enough, the character, the gentleman that plays Francis, was also a character in one of the movies that I've reviewed before, Teen Wolf. He was on the basketball team in Teen Wolf as well. So it's always cool to be able to go back and see these characters that are all in similar films from that same time period. But the whole idea behind the movie is Pee-wee's beloved bicycle gets stolen, and he goes on an adventure to retrieve his bike. And it takes him literally all over the country and introduces him to a number of intriguing, very interesting, and dynamic characters, one of which we all remember, Large Marge. So we all remember Large Marge. And the one cool thing about Large Marge is it was really spontaneous. It wasn't even supposed to make it into the movie, but this was also the debut of a very famous director, and we've all heard of Tim Burton. This was Tim Burton's first movie as a director. So you can see all bits of Tim Burton throughout the movie, but especially in the character design for Large Marge. When the truck driver, she transforms into Large Marge, you can see touches of, what was it? What's Jack Skellington movie? Which one is that?
Nightmare.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Nightmare Before. I literally just watched it this weekend because my wife had never seen it. So you can see the same type of character designs in the Nightmare Before Christmas that we saw there with Large Marge. But Pee-wee continues his adventures. He escapes from Large Marge and ends up in Texas, where he goes on a tour of the Alamo because he has heard that his bicycle is in the basement of the Alamo. And after a very long tour, Pee-wee wanting to ask questions and the tour guide not allowing questions till the very end, he finally gets to raise his hand and says, "Are we ever going to get to see the basement?" And she proceeds to tell him that, "Now, honey, there's no basement in the Alamo." And she laughs at him, and everybody laughs at Pee-wee, and he feels really stupid. So he continues his search for his bike, and he ends up on Warner Brothers Studios, where we see a bevy of movies that we've seen before. We see Godzilla. We see just about anything and everything you can imagine on the Warner Brothers Studios. And he also ends up finding his bike. So he steals his bike back, and there's this great escape as he's trying to escape off the Warner Brothers Studios, being chased by Keystone cops and everybody else that's involved in the chase. And eventually he gets captured. The executives there at Warner Brothers hear his story and think this would make an amazing movie. And finally, Pee-wee agrees for the movie to be made, but it has to be made like a James Bond action flick. And the gentleman that plays P.W. Herman in the action flick at the end of the movie is none other than the father of Thanos himself. Josh Brolin's dad, James Brolin, actually ends up playing P.W. Herman, the 007 type character there at the end. And Pee-wee goes on to be with his girl Dottie. Even though he was a loner, they get together at the end of the movie, and everybody lives happily ever after. So if you want a fun and engaging and totally 80s movie, I highly recommend Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Not only was it Tim Burton, it was Danny Elfman's
It was
first
scored by
movie.
Danny Elfman as well. Yes. So typically, if you see a Tim Burton movie, it's going to be scored by Danny Elfman. I think there was one movie. For some reason, my brain's not working tonight. I need more mineral water here, obviously. But there was a movie that those two they had a falling out on, and he didn't score one of Tim Burton's movies, but the rest of them you can find him there on each of his soundtracks.
Written by Paul Rubens and the late great Phil Hartman
Yes.
and Michael Varhol. This was their first movie they ever wrote. Also, my wife's obsessed with this movie. I have to say, and then I have to say, I'm not sure I ever saw it.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Wow.
I know it's like a classic, but I'm not sure.
I saw it. I saw it, of course, but a long time ago. But that synopsis was so accurate. You did a great job, Larry. And now I'm going to definitely get my kid to watch it with me because they're in film school and they study the 80s. They study all movies, but I think that's a great 80s movie, like you said. And
I think it sums up that generation perfectly, man. It's just got all the elements that we look for in 80s type movies. And of course, it was Paul Rubin at his best. A lot of people don't realize it, but the movie was based off of a stage show that Paul Rubens was actually doing at the Roxy there in LA. And an executive from HBO saw him. They took it to HBO, and it was an HBO special, which was more adult oriented. It was much more blue than the movie ever was. And then they family friendly. They made it a little more family friendly and made Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which led to Pee-wee's Playhouse and all sorts of other things. So it was great.
Oh, so this came before Pee-wee's Playhouse?
This came before the television series, the Saturday morning Pee-wee's Playhouse. Yes, they did have Pee-wee's Playhouse. That's what it was called on HBO as well. And we saw all kinds of people that were on that show. I mean, Lawrence Fishburne? Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne was on there. Tons of people that we would recognize were characters on that show. And a lot of them showed up back in the movie as well in different roles that we wouldn't recognize them from Pee-wee's Playhouse. But I can remember even as a kid before the movie came out, watching HBO when we got it for the weekend special or whatever it would be, because my parents were too poor to buy HBO. But I got to see it on HBO and I was blown away. And of course, the language and the coarseness and the innuendos and that sort of thing. But it was common back then. I mean, I loved comedy from then. So that fit right into that era. And it was right there up with the Kennisons and the Carlins and the Robin Williams type sets. It was that same type of comedy. So it was interesting to see that transition from an HBO special to the family-friendly show that it was in the movie.
Do you think it was a one camera? Was it a one camera television show?
I haven't seen it in so long, Christine. I don't want to say that it was. It seems like it probably was, but because it was just a stage show, it was a live play, So
I think it might have been.
But it's been a long, long time since I'd seen that one.
Wow.
Great job. Yeah, if you want to get into ninja movies, go listen to Larry's.
Yeah, come on over, man. I'm going through them again. Let's do it.
He's all in. So, all right, let's cover the Goldbergs.
Yay, the Goldbergs.
Christine.
I've been a fan of the Goldbergs since it started, which is back in 2013. So it's been on the air quite a while. It just got renewed for its 10th season. And it just started about 3 weeks ago, the 10th season. But the first, say, 5 or 6 seasons specifically, were just really, really good. Very, very clean comedy in terms of not clean. I don't mean clean, but more like clean, like Modern Family, just shot perfectly. Great writers, great directors, just a quality show. And, having like George Segal was on it and Wendy McLennan-Covey, who's amazing. And Jeff Garland. It was just a really good cast. And it is based off of Adam Goldman. Yeah, right. Yeah. And Goldberg. Thank you. That's my kid just said something. It is after Adam Goldberg, or based on, his life growing up in Philadelphia in a Jewish family. And the only thing different in the series is I think that there's 2 boys and 1 girl. And in the actual family. They were all 3 boys. Anyway, the point is Wendy McLendon-Covey, she's the anchor, right? I mean, she is just such a wonderful actress. You guys know her from Reno 911 and Bridesmaids. And it's just a really well-written show. And because I grew up in the 80s, obviously, I find it extremely funny. It's as if you were watching the Wonder Years and you're in your 70s or whatever that era. That era was from the 60s. So I guess now those folks are in their whatever. The point is, it's narrated by Patton Oswalt, and he plays the youngest kid, Adam Goldberg, and it's really smart back to front. And then in a lot of the earlier seasons, it really did have a lot of even heart to it, if you can imagine. Have you heard of that, Jeff Dwoskin? Heart? Have you heard of that?
I've heard of Heart.
Not the band, but I mean, like
Yeah,
sincerity.
Yeah.
You'd actually watch it with your kid and be like, oh, wow, like the right song or whatever. And it's very well thought out. And so it's been great. But then last year, I'm sure you guys heard that Jeff Garland, one of the main cast members, was fired, for being a jackass to his castmates, essentially. Not his castmates, but for people on set. And so he would just be very personal and mean to people like PAs, or like a lighting guy, or this one woman specifically. For some reason, he didn't like her, and he was just, really off color humor, like not funny, and not like ever in jest, just like a mean dude, So it's kind of like one of those things that went down into PR, and they just fired him. And I really admired that, I'll be honest with you, because yeah, I've been on set myself, not in a sitcom, but I've been on set. And yeah, one bad apple with one person with a bad attitude, or one person who's just trying to rip people down, or just who's mean, can really screw up everybody. And I think that that's basically what he did for a long time. And when that was going on, I felt bad for Wendy, because I know Wendy not real well, but I've known her for several years. And, it's like, I know she's trying to do a really good thing there, along with Troy Gentile, who plays one of her sons, and Sean Giambroni, who plays the Adam Goldberg character. Anyway, so basically the point is he gets fired. Okay, great. Now here we come back anyway, seeing season 10. They got picked up anyway, which was great. Great. But now they got to start. So what's going to happen, right? So, here's spoiler alert. They basically just fast forward an entire year, or like 9 months, and say that Murray died. But it was so like, I still can't take off this shirt because it reminds me of, of dad or whatever. I don't know. So they tried to quickly fill the holes in and say that he passed on. And so, but they only did it in like 3 or 4 sentences, and then boom, he's gone. And he's just gone. So that was a little odd, but it happened. And really, we didn't care because he didn't really add much to the show, honestly. It wasn't even that great of a character. But anyway, so now we start season 10. There's been about 4 or 5 on. In fact, it's on tonight. And I don't know, man. It's a little tricky. This season's getting a little rocky. But my point is, I'm a big fan. I adore Wendy McLendon-Covey, and she should definitely be up for an Emmy, if not win an Emmy. And even though Jeff Garland got kicked off, and then the guy who played her father, George Siegel, passed away, I still think, even with all of those, difficulties, they still are trying to hold it together. And so now, like I said, the dad is gone, and now one of the mom's children, the girl, Erica, is having a baby. She had a baby. Anyway, they moved ahead very quickly in time, which is okay, but they better pick it up. That's my point. No, I'm kidding. It's a great show. Do you guys watch it?
I haven't watched it. I watched it a little bit because I had Mindy Sterling on my show, so I was
I
cherry-picking.
love her. Yeah.
So I was cherry picking some episodes, and I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do Zach or Larry, do you watch the Goldbergs?
I have not. I'm sorry. But I'm
Yeah.
going
Do you
to
guys
now.
have kids? If you have kids, it's a really good show to watch with your kids.
My kids are 30 and 27, so
Is
They're
it
perfect, and that's even a more perfect age.
I'm Jewish, and the shows I watched were very heavy Jewish, which I loved. But
Great, yeah, it's
does
great.
that play well for the non-Jews, you think? Is it like, can you, is it, and
It shouldn't matter. I mean, it's humor is humor.
I know, but sometimes it feels like I'm
Well,
just
you being
curious. Yeah.
racist right now? Is that what's going on, Jeff?
No, I'm just saying,
it sounds like.
is
I
it
mean, I'm feeling
enjoyable?
attacked personally with
I'm
my
just
I
asking.
know.
I'm
I'm
just
feeling
non-Jewish last
attacked.
name. I'm feeling a little.
How does it feel to live in our world? Is what I'm asking.
Yeah. I'm definitely oppressed. This white
But
male here.
Mindy Sterling, because like I said, there's been a shakeup with the cast. She's been on more and more actually, and I think she might even be considered a main character now. And she's a great actress and really talented. So I heard her on your show, Jeff. Really good. It was super good.
Oh, thank you. So it's impressive. Just so I mean, how many shows make it 10 seasons
Right.
anymore? You know, what I mean,
Right.
it's
It's so wonderful.
definitely puts it into a category all its own. But that's awesome. All right, so full 80s,
Yeah, that's right.
full Jewish culture for you guys. I think get on it. Get on it.
I'm all over it. As soon as we get off here, I'm firing it up.
You don't know what Hanukkah is after watching the Goldbergs.
I know I know what guilt is. I got I'm good, man. Yeah. I played dreidel.
You play dreidel?
I played dreidel once or twice.
Even Jews don't play dreidel. What do you do?
Well,
No, just kidding.
I wanted the guilt, so I had to play the dreidel. That's how I used to work for a Jewish guy, and he would bring me guilt every year and bring me a new dreidel every year. It was really fun. So.
The other thing that's interesting about the Goldbergs is, it takes place in Philadelphia. So they do a lot of references, Wawa's and some of the department stores at the time, like Gimbals and Horns. And that's pretty funny too. Woolworths, stuff like that. It's fun. It's kind of fun.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, everyone go watch the Goldbergs. Zach, I'm going to let you close it out. I'm going to go next.
Okay.
All right, let's do Ticket to Paradise. This is a movie that I watched recently, and I didn't want to watch it. And I really had so low expectations for Ticket to Paradise, but I enjoyed it. It's one of those movies where it was enjoyable. It was funny. There's something about the chemistry between George Clooney and Julia Roberts. You could tell they really enjoyed themselves, but that's what I was worried about when going into the movie, that it might have been just a little shticky thing that they're like, hey, we just got paid a lot of money to hang out because we're besties, and they're going to call it a movie. But as it turns out, and maybe it was just a combination of starting to watch White Lotus and then watch this, but oh my God, two series of movies set in the most gorgeous settings.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, it made me so not to want to be home. Ticket to Paradise, I think it's the kind of show that if you're sitting at home after you've seen it once and it happens to come on, you'll leave it on because it's like a comfort movie.
Wait a second. Are you saying that's on I mean, how are you?
No, I'm saying
that?
like in the future, like
I
right
know,
now.
but you saw it at the theater, right?
Yeah. And
Okay.
so, but I'm just saying, like, once it hits cable and stuff, it's like one of the, some movies come on and you let it roll. You know what I mean? It's like that. It to me is that's the kind of vibe that this movie kind of gave. It was enjoyable. Like, so here's what it's about. Here's what it's about is George Clooney and Julia Louis-Dreyfus have been divorced for 15 years and they hate each other. Like serious hate. Some funny dialogue with their hate, but their daughter's graduating. And so they have to come, and of course they get seated next to each other, and there's like quip. And so there's all that. And so their daughter with her best friend, who happens to be Billie Lourd, who's Carrie Fisher's daughter, who's also great in this, they go to Bali. It's just like they're graduated and they're going on vacation. So while they're in Bali, they're snorkeling and they come up and their boat's gone. They're literally in the middle of the water and their boat's gone, which, depending on the screenwriter, this is the plot of a different movie where now there's sharks right? And they eventually
Exactly what I
die
was
and get
thinking.
eaten. What was I don't even remember what the name of that movie was. You,
Uh,
you know what I'm
something
talking about though?
underwater.
There's a movie, like one of those movies that's supposed to be based on true story where the boat left him behind. Okay, but that's not how this movie ends. This is where this movie begins. And this nice looking boy finds them, picks them up, and Lily, who's Julie Roberts and George Clooney's um, daughter in the movie, they immediately click. And then Julie Roberts and George Clooney get a letter that says, "We're getting married." So it's been 37 days
Womp
now.
womp.
Right.
Right.
So now it was funny when I was sitting there. Lily is the name of the daughter in the show, and she's played by Caitlin Dever. And I was thinking to myself, wow, what a compliment it must be that people sat around and said, here's George Clooney and Julia Roberts, and they're going to have a baby. What would that baby look like? And they go, it's you. The whole time I was thinking, that must make that person feel so good.
Does she look like them?
She could have been, I mean, it wasn't crazy, but it was just
How
like,
old is she? 20, 15,
she would
30?
have been graduating like college. So
Oh, okay, so 24. Yeah.
yeah. So that's the whole thing now. That's how Julie Roberts and George Clooney now have to unite to break up the marriage because they believe that the daughter's making all their mistakes that
Right.
they made. And so that's the plot of the movie is for them. And of course, it ends up with them maybe not falling back in love and all that kind of stuff. So, it's fun though. And it played out well and it was enjoyable. And, it was nice. It took place on Bali. So it was Balinese culture. So the wedding was a Balinese wedding. And what was nice about that was it wasn't a Christian or Jewish wedding, which is every wedding, right?
Yeah,
If it's not
yeah.
right. So it was a very different wedding, completely customs that we would not, not familiar with. And that was sort of the theme of the movie that, when you become together in their culture, right time, right place, all these different circumstances have to be in place. And the movie is about finding the balance of those things for them to get married. And then ultimately for the Julia Roberts and George Clooney characters. So,
And the sequel will be tickets to divorce court or what?
it was
No.
it's I think it's done pretty well. It's doing well.
Yeah.
Here's the interesting thing. The Rotten Tomatoes, the critic score is 56 out of 100, but the audience score is 88.
Wow.
Right. And so the director of this movie, who is Ole Parker, did Best Exotic Marigold Hotel and the sequel, A Boy Called Christmas, and Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. So
You think culturally we're just hungry for a rom-com?
I think it was time. I think it was nice. It was nice to
not much else out regarding like that.
It's funny you say that, Larry, because I was thinking about that today when I was reflecting on this movie, which I spent most of the day doing. And it was interesting that the joy of this movie was she gives up everything to live in this gorgeous place, live a simple life. And at the end, that's what they decide maybe is right for them too. They wanted her to be a lawyer and have that grind and all that kind of stuff. And I was thinking about that today in terms of what we've all just been through. And it sort of matched that thing. It's like there was something about letting go of what we've come to accustom ourselves as being like that grind of having to work 90 hours for the man and, all this kind of stuff and just enjoying life for life. And so, it was, it's making a lot of money. I hope they don't make a sequel because I don't like sequels when they're not needed. but it's you're not going to hate yourself for watching it. You'll probably walk away with a smile and enjoy it. And it's comfort food. It's
get some brownie points with the bride. She'll enjoy that. So that's good.
Yeah, right. My wife liked it. We both liked it. We both enjoyed it. So,
the movie that you were thinking of, Open Water.
Open Water.
Yeah.
Yes, it's exactly it. It's Open Water. If Open Water had gone a different direction, it would have been Ticket to Paradise.
There you go.
Someone's watching. It's like, what if these two people didn't die and got picked up and fell in love? Like,
Mhm.
that's a movie. Let's do that. Less sharks, but you know. All right, let's we got one more. Oh, you know what? Hang on a second. This StreamYard, I upload the images and then they just disappear every time. So give me one
Crazy.
second. All right, there we go. Let's talk about Primal. This is Zack, the return of Zack Wiseman.
I'm excited to
Yeah.
hear about this one. I've thought about watching this, so
Oh,
I'm really
I,
psyched to hear your review.
yeah, I can tell you, you're gonna want to watch it as soon as you get done this thing. Yeah. So what I know I'm gonna come on this show, I never really know what I'm gonna talk about. So I usually watch a whole bunch of things anyway. I watch everything that's on Netflix every single day. I watch everything always. And I realized that recently is to the point where the writing is so bad in most movies, you don't really have to watch them. You can just kind of listen to them and you understand what's going on. But a lot of people, when they see and hear all the stupid stuff I watch all the time, they end up asking me, what do you watch that you like? Or what do you watch when you just want to kind of, just focus on something? And the thing is, I grew up watching cartoons. I grew up watching Powerpuff Girls and Dexter's Lab and Samurai Jack. And the thing that they all have in common is they're all created by the same person. They're all created by Gendy Tartakovsky, which is one of the most beautiful visionaries when it comes to visual effects and everything. He's also done the Hotel Transylvanias, which are some good, some not too good, but the thing is, you can always tell the art. Now, he has been working on a passion project for years, and a lot of companies did not want to invest in it because of what the material was. But in 2019, finally on Cartoon Network, now you can find on HBO Max, is Primal. Primal is one of the most engaging and beautiful things that I've seen, and I keep watching it over and over because there's no dialogue in this movie. There's no English, there's no subtitles. People don't talk because what this movie is about a caveman. And this caveman had a family. And as he's out providing for his family one day, he comes back and these dinosaurs have eaten his family. So now he's full of rage, right? And his name is Spear because all he has is a spear. And he goes to kill these dinosaurs. So these dinosaurs just killed his entire family until a bigger dinosaur comes and it kills that dinosaur's family. Now, this dinosaur is alone and it has one tooth. His name's Fang. Now, Spear and Fang inadvertently become the bestest of friends and probably the closest family members that you can find. Now, you don't need to understand what they're saying because the point of the show is that they don't understand what they're saying. They can't communicate well, and they're just trying to understand what it's like to become family with something that you kind of hate, which I think is what family is about anyway, and how to provide for people when you don't really know what they want. Which is, once again, what it's like having a baby. I don't know what this thing wants. I don't speak its language. It doesn't understand me, but I got to keep it alive. I got to make sure this thing does not get eaten. I got to make sure food comes in its mouth. So season 1 is split up in 2 different sets. There's part 1 and part 2. Each of them are 5 episodes long. Each episode is about 20-25 minutes. So they're not a lot to take in. It's not a lot of time consuming just to take the whole thing down. It got quickly picked up for a second season. This thing has been nominated for 9 total awards and has won 7 of those 9, including 5 Primetime Emmys for great storytelling, visual arts, etc. Most of the story just revolves around this caveman who's full of anger and sadness because his family's gone. Everything he sees reminds him of his family, and the only thing he has left is the thing that killed his family. So it's one of the most powerful storytelling devices. It's something that while I'm watching anything on Netflix, whether I'm writing a Netflix metrics in case I have to do that here, or I'm watching Dark again to write stuff, most of the time I can just let it wash over me. I understand what I'm getting. Primal is something I cannot do anything else while I'm watching it. I can't look at my phone. I can't even talk to my own kid while it's on. She comes in the room. She's 24 years old. And without understanding what I'm doing or anything, she'll just sit down and immediately is sucked into the story because all that's in here is heart and the most amazingly constructed violence. A lot of violence is done for, gore purposes or shock value. There is something so beautiful about the violence that is in this movie and the blood and gore because it all means something. It is from passionate places. It is, 20 episodes in total. You're looking at probably, 4 hours, which is how I spend most of my days in front of the TV anyway. But this thing will sit in your soul for some reason. There's something so beautiful and just so like just emotional and capturing about it. Like I said, it's on HBO Max. So you can grab it in. I suggest watching the first 3 episodes and just seeing how you feel, because it will make you tear up. And the fact that there's no words is just so gorgeous, because that's the best storytelling. Show, don't tell. That's what I say.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That
So
sounded
it's
like you
great.
practiced that. I mean, that was such
You're
a
on mute, Christine.
amazing
Oh, there you go.
delivery with so much heart that we keep bringing up here tonight. Man, that was just phenomenal.
Yeah, I actually came in here wanting to talk about Dark, but it turned out that you guys have already spoke about that before. So I quickly switched to something that I am passionate about, something that I know a lot about, and Primal is stunning.
Wow.
Wow, those are big words, and I'm a little scared myself because I grew up during Clan of the Cave Bear. You guys remember that?
Yep.
Of course,
Yep.
I
saw it in
hated
school.
that movie, man. That movie freaked me out. I hated it. I
Yeah.
hated it. It just was. It's not like that, right? It's not like that.
No. It's not that kind of violent. It's a beautiful and emotional kind of violence that sometimes you need to protect your family. You need to get gritty. Sometimes you need to get your knuckles bloody to make sure that your daughter can eat, or your dinosaur named Fang can eat. So no, it's well done.
I'll
Wow.
tell you something. I'm gonna give it a shot, but look, no guarantees because I don't like cute.
Oh, it ain't cute.
If it's just cute, I don't like it. You know what I mean? Like it all
Oh,
wrapped perfectly.
there is nothing cute about this. Trust me. Yeah, from minute 1, you're like, wow, what's about to happen to this family? And then it happens, and you're like, oh, that's way worse than I thought. What's this guy going
Right.
to do? It's like, oh, that's way worse than I thought. Oh no, now I'm sad for 2 episodes, but now they love each other.
Amazing.
No, yeah, well done. It is
So-
not. It's
so
not.
don't
cutesy.
don't be fooled by the fact it's animated.
All right.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah,
Big
yeah, no.
words. I'm psyched to see this. That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah. Nah, bring it.
Well, and if it does upset you, just turn on Ticket to Paradise.
No, if it upsets me, I'm going to call you. I'm going to
Mhm.
complain. I'm going to text you. I'm going to write on
Mhm.
all your social media,
Yeah.
and you're all in a lot of trouble.
No, I need that, and I would love to engage in those conversations.
There's always Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Christine. You can always go that route.
Yeah, but do not accidentally watch
I'm
Big
really
Top
excited
Pee-wee.
about that. I just forgot all about it, kind of. You
Mm.
know, that's a great recommendation.
Yeah, that sequel is so bad. It's so stupid.
Mm.
Did Tim Burton make the sequel?
No,
No.
no. It's literally like there's like a circus that goes, and then they get stuck in Pee-wee's backyard, and Pee-wee's like, "Well, let's do it." it's very bad.
And it's
One of
not
the worst.
Danny Elfman either.
No.
No. Phil Hartman was already. I think he was already passed. No, not passed by then, but I don't think he had any part of it. It was just a money grab.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry,
Oh,
Zach, didn't mean to derail Primal there with my reference back. To
Oh
Pee-wee.
no, I was
Dude,
done.
I'm totally in. Again, your delivery was amazing. Appreciate you sharing that with us, and look forward to watching that after the Goldbergs, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's definitely it's not up lightning. Like you will not feel great when you get done Primal, but you will like just love how somebody can tell you what family is without words.
That's cool.
It's fascinating. I can't wait to check it out.
Yeah, so
Can't
cool.
wait. Well, cool.
Also watch Dark on Netflix, because that is the best show that has ever been written, ever.
Okay, I know we're probably running low on time here, but can you give me a real quick rundown of what Dark is? I'm
Yeah.
not up to date on that.
So Dark is this really cool dark German. I called it like a chrono thriller because it's about time looping. So the whole thing starts with these kids that kind of get lost in 2019, right? They go into a cave and they get lost, and the story revolves around this family who's looking for these kids. The dad commits suicide. You're like, man, what's happening here? But it turns out whenever you go in this cave, you get time transported 33 years either to the future or the past. So throughout the whole 3 seasons, which are so well constructed, you find out that maybe you've met yourself in the past. Maybe you're the reason that you started doing this thing. Imagine you write this book and you become famous for it. But as you're about to write this book, yourself from the future comes into the past and gives you that book and says, write this book. It is important for your life. And you're like, well, who actually wrote this book to begin with? That is what Dark is about. You can only skip 33 years either into the future or the past. So if you go the wrong way, you're in the 50s all of a sudden. You do it again, now you're in 1912. I don't know how to deal with it. But the Dark is cool. The only problem is it's fully in German. So it's the first Netflix foreign series. They put more money into this thing than they did into Stranger Things. It was all even filmed like in this weird broke down part of Germany where this old like silo reactor messed up. And it you can tell that there was so much math in writing this show because everything links up perfectly. Everything matters. And whenever you meet somebody, if it's an older person, you're like, I don't know if that's the same person that the kid is. I have no idea. But Dark is super cool. Only downside, full German. So I know a lot of people just don't want to read while they watch a movie. Those people are dumb. They're missing out on so much beautiful and brilliant cinema out there. But yeah, Dark is better than Stranger Things. Dark is one of the few series I will say 10 out of 10 best writing I've ever seen in my entire life as far as sci-fi goes. It's not a comedy, it's not a rom-com. It is sci-fi, it is dark, and it is heady as shit because it is so it's so looping and looping and looping, and you're like, I don't know who anybody is. Wait, my father is me? Oh no, oh god. Oh, it's crazy.
Is it a true story?
No.
Okay.
No. Not yet.
It's based on a true story.
Yeah, it will be. We just don't know because we're not in the loop.
Right.
If we go into the cave, we may figure out.
Yeah. Now, Dark is on Netflix, and like I said, that's not something you can just kind of plop on and do the dishes. Like you really got to sit down and watch that first episode and go, "Oh, this is what this thing's trying to give me." But I can tell you that it does not lessen at all. It does not slow down speed in the second or third season. Each one is so well developed and still talks about the current characters. So well done.
Awesome.
Very cool. Appreciate that little bonus rundown there.
Oh, dude,
I do want to say
I'll review 10 things that I watched today. It's no problem.
Let's say hi to Jerry and Lee. They've been commenting along. I've been bad
Jerry?
about putting the comments up. Sorry, guys.
Seeing a vegan.
What was it? I don't know. I just randomly picked.
Wait, what was that one? Seeing a vegan by eating a cow?
Yeah,
Maybe
how's
something
that one?
about your hat.
Well, I'm curious.
I don't know. It's
Seeing a vegan being eaten by a cow is on my bone. Oh yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, hey, this marks yet another successful episode of Crossing the Streams. It was fun hanging with all of you. Larry, say goodnight and remind everyone where they can find you.
Yeah, once again, follow me over on Instagram. The Larry Roberts. Would love to see you. Also love to see you at Podfest in January 26th through 29th in Orlando, Florida. Drop me a DM. I'll tell you all about it.
Christine Blackburn.
Hey, I'm really looking for you guys to follow my new show, My Life in 3 Songs, on Spotify. It's exclusively on Spotify because we do listen to the music and we chat about it. So I don't steal music. It's only on Spotify. Please check it out because I have thousands of followers on my other show, Storyworthy, but only hundreds on this one. What's happening? Help me, please. Listen to my name. Listen to the names on the show. Patton Oswalt, Todd Glass.
Those two are great.
Bruce Baum, playing a patch. Melissa Peterman, Adam Ferrara. They're all on the show. You guys, I'm getting the best comedians. Check it out. My Life in 3 Songs. Thank you.
It is awesome. All right, Zach.
My name is Zack Wiseman, but literally do not listen to any of my stuff. It's not that good. Listen to their stuff. It's way better. Music and Larry Roberts. Better stuff than anything I got.
And I am Jeff Jawaskin. Check out my podcast, Classic Conversations. I got a fun one this week with William B. Davis, cigarette smoking man from the X-Files. He was a joy. It's always fun when you talk to someone who you think is evil, but then they turn out they're like in real life the nicest people in the world.
Aw, that's
Ronnie Cox was like that too. You know, he was the bad guy from Total Recall and what was the other one? Oh crap. Anyway, he was the nicest guy in the world.
I'm not the only one that was struggling for words tonight.
Yeah.
I want to give it up to Zach. I think Zach gets the presentation award for the evening. Give it up to Zach there for doing a tremendous job.
Yeah, that was insanely good. All right. Yeah, well, take
Thanks,
it. Just take
guys.
it. Just take it. Thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody.
Bye.
And that has been another episode of Crossing the Streams. Join us every Wednesday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, live on Facebook and YouTube. Follow the Jeff DeWaskin Show on YouTube to be alerted every time we go live with your hosts, Jeff DeWaskin, Ron Lippett, Howard Rosner, Bob Phillips, Sal D'Amelio. We're all in the socials. Follow us, listen to our podcasts, Classic Conversations, and the Sal and Bob Show. Check them all out, and we'll see you next week and every week when we cross more streams right here. See you then.